Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Lauren Heistad, author of the book Homecoming. We're all the way to chapter 6. That, I don't know, that's quite remarkable actually, because I've tried to do this quite a few times. And full disclosure, if I don't make it all the way through my book, you know where to find it. But still keeping to that promise I made to myself to finish telling my story. I always say so far, but I just mean that because I'm ready for a new chapter to open. But in doing so, I need to finish the old one. Right? I need to finish that. Not even for the world at this point. This is for me. For me. Okay, chapter 6. Early memories of the unexplained. Looking back, there were plenty of signs showing me a world that I could only dream was possible. There were magical and mystical moments that reconnected me to who I truly was, giving me a glimpse of my inner light and soul potential. However, I grew up in a family dynamic that did not discuss mystical experiences, and so I was left confused, scared, and vulnerable to the unknown. It was not until much later in life that I could look back with awe and sheer appreciation of the messages and gifts that have shaped my entire life. True story. Okay. As a child, I grew up in a family that was religious. Not spiritual, just religious. And I distinguish the two because I have always felt that religion provides an external means for those seeking to have someone else give them the answers to this world, to give them a textbook explanation on the way things surely are. Religion teaches society how to send a hopeful prayer, interpret the Bible, worship the Lord, and anxiously await a miracle. Those that are spiritual, on the other hand, believe in themselves and the power of their own inner wisdom. They not only know they are connected to the divine, there is a strong and continuous two-way communication that is always taking place. An inner knowing that life is more than what we perceive within our limited earthly senses. And knowing that we are all connected and hold the power within ourselves to create miracles and live a life of peace, health, and happiness. The catch is, each soul must learn to see their own inner light and let it shine. No one person, religion, or organization can do the work for you. External resources can and should be used to help sort out through the clutter. However, you alone must be the driving force behind your own soul works. Yes, indeed. As I stand, as a wonderful example. Just an example, I don't know, as an example of the ups and downs encountered during that process, I can clearly demonstrate how the path of spiritual growth is not always achieved with grace and ease, but achievable it most certainly is. My first experience with the unknown occurred in grade 3 when my uncle died in a tragic accident. I remember the day very clearly. From my perspective, it was not a sad day, for I understood where he was going, and more importantly, I understood that he was still in my life, just in a different way. I also distinctly remember understanding all of this at least 2 weeks before the accident actually happened. The day a family member did eventually come to my grade school with the news of his passing, I was so very confused. "I have some sad news," my aunt began. "Your uncle has died and is no longer with us." After hearing her words, mass confusion whirled around in my little mind as I tried to comprehend the conversation. She must be lying. He most certainly was with us. And why was everyone so sad? Had we not accepted this truth and known he was ready to leave a few weeks ago? This experience was so confusing to my young mind. It was the first death in my family that I could consciously remember having such an impact on my own beliefs and understandings. At the time, his fatality was explained as a permanent end to his life. If that were true, why was I able to so clearly feel and hear his presence? It is always difficult for people to understand the death of a loved one. To me, it is not a death. It is a homecoming that I have never feared. I see it as a graduation from this school here on earth. However, it wasn't until years later I found books and people that agreed with my youthful perspective of life. A perspective that knows we are only here on this earth to experience life, and that as tragic as it may seem, on a soul level, we choose our exit points to return back home. If only I had been able to understand that reality as a child, my life would have made so much more sense. Instead, I felt like an outsider, homesick and confused. Looking back, there were moments in life that conflicted with what had been explained to me as truths. Many moments. Orbs of light used to swim merrily around my room at night. I distinctly remember asking my parents what they were, only to be met with more confusion when told it was just my imagination. A room darkening blind and a nightlight still could not stop those orbs from appearing in the night, but they did stop me from asking any more questions about the subject. In truth, those lights never made me afraid. They were fun, calming, and gave me a happy feeling. They became my secret nightlife into a world beyond. Please don't get me wrong. I don't blame my parents for not understanding. I know that they were working within their own realities and experiences that over time had become clouded with society's perception of normal. However, it is that clouded perception that I feel the need to help society lift. The veil to the other world is thinning, and people need to understand they are not alone in these experiences. As an adult, I have now been able to identify these orbs of light as spiritual beings. Loved ones, spirit guides, and angels that provide me with comfort and support. What a wonderful reality. Truly, what a wonderful reality. And like any teenager, I also spent a significant amount of time looking at myself in the mirror, not because of vanity, but because I was intrigued by my reflection. At one point, while staring into the mirror, my 15-year-old face began to slowly morph into that of an older lady. Startled, of course, I quickly sat back and tried to regain my composure after seeing another version of myself staring back through the mirror. As I became more interested in this phenomenon, I used to spend hours looking into the mirror, watching my face, Change from a teenage girl to an older lady to a native elder, and then back again. Never did those faces feel like strangers. Rather, I felt a connection to these people and felt that on some level, I knew who they were. Checking in my Google references at the time, which of course were, I don't want to date myself here, but Google references were friends, family, and the library. I never did find anyone who understood what I was describing. This void of knowledge, once again, left me feeling confused and frustrated. It also added yet another secret to my ever-evolving vault of taboo subjects. Years later, I found articles and testaments of others that have experienced similar occurrences, and the minute I heard their interpretation, I instantly felt at peace. Many believe that we have lived many lives on this earth, that our soul reincarnates time and time again to learn life lessons and to experience new and different realities. Thank God. It was then that I started to grasp the concept of just how many lives I've lived. I finally understood that my days in front of the mirror showed brief reflections and glimpses into my past. The last monumental experience of my youth is what I refer to as my shutdown point. Many of us have them. These are the times that we are faced with a situation that scares us into shutting down our six senses and closing off from our spiritual self. For me, it happened to be in high school. I was in grade 7 and at an all-night fundraiser for school. I was awkwardly in the stage of trying to fit in. That never worked. Still to this day, it doesn't work. But anyways, I was trying to fit in, blending in with the crowd and finding myself in a vast sea of adolescence. A terrifying life stage to begin with. Throw into the mix a lack of sleep, noisy group of kids, and not eating enough food to keep me grounded, and you have a recipe for disaster. Still to this day, that is my recipe for disaster. So at some point near the end of the night, I started to hear things, people's thoughts, far-off voices that I'd never heard before, and just general chaos. My perception of time also started to speed up, and I started to feel like I was not even in my body anymore. The noise was confusing, and it did scare me. Big time. And I ended up, the night of my cool entry into high school, crying in the corner like a first grader. True story. I literally had to be escorted out of the school while stating that I thought I was going crazy and yelling at the voices to be quiet. Voices that only I seemed to be able to hear. And I never did understand at the time what had happened and would not fully comprehend this moment until years later. I clearly remember the experience. Yes. I remember asking the voices to stop. And unfortunately, I remember being humiliated in front of the whole school. And unlike many other spiritual and psychic encounters as a child, this one I never spoke of to anyone. I never asked questions. I never sought out advice. I just shut down. Part of my soul works. Just part of my soul works is to ensure people understand they do not need to feel confused or alone. Spiritual events do in fact happen in our lives that are outside, completely outside society's current perspectives. We are in constant contact with loved ones, angels, and the divine. We can utilize our six senses of sight, sound, feeling, smell, and knowing to access information from the spiritual realms. We only need to open our hearts, minds, and souls to allow the experience in. It is time. It is time. Okay, activating your SOULworks. Here we go. The world through the eyes of a child is an amazing one. This era of our lives is filled with miraculous moments and encounters with the divine our young minds cannot fully grasp with today's society. Yet as adults, we are often too close-minded to truly see the depths of our souls. Adults are quick to tell their children how things truly are, without realizing we are the ones. We are the ones that have lost touch with the truth. True story. During adolescence, our connection with spirit is strong and vibrant. The children of today are coming into this world with all their six senses fully operational. Our children remember lives on the other side, and if asked, they can provide details of past lives and soul encounters. They often see energy, hear and communicate with the spirit world, and interact telepathically. However, when raised in a home where these abilities are not recognized or explained, their experiences quickly move into the background and are forgotten. Well, maybe not forgotten, but definitely closed off. If you want to expand your awareness, view our world through the eyes of a child. Be open to new ideas. Take a second look at past notions dismissed for centuries. Believe in magic and our ability to live in a higher vibrational beings. I'll say that again. Believe in magic and our ability to live as higher vibrational beings. Know that we are not alone. And I'm thankful for one. Okay, your move. Observe children. We gain to learn so much from our children. These bright old souls are returning to earth to provide lifetimes of wisdom and insights. Silently observe the children in your life. Watch as a baby's eyes light up or their smiles widen as they view the spirits all around you. Notice the conversations children have with imaginary friends and believe, even for just one moment, the experiences are actually real. Acknowledge past connections between children and adults. Know this is not your first lifetime you have had together. Notice how children are energetically drawn to nostalgic toys of their childhood past. When marketing and advertising do not interfere. Watch and learn. Acknowledge experiences. Review your own childhood and notice synchronicities that have shaped your life today. Do you remember having imaginary friends nobody else acknowledged? Were there moments of your youth where time seemed to speed up or stand still? What are some of the magical elements in life you used to believe in? Fairies, elves, or angels? Consider, just for one moment, these mythical creatures do exist within our world, but just at a different vibrational frequency. Open your mind. In fact, step out and make an effort to connect with these magical beings. Sit outdoors and invite the fairies into your world. Give a tree a hug and notice how the tree will energetically give you a hug back. Try it. Stop mocking lawn ornaments and place an elf in your garden. To do so is to acknowledge their presence and welcome them into your world. Dabble with the unknown. Scary, I know, but you should try. Ask your guides and angels to help increase your vibration and connect with the other side. Try mirror gazing to catch a glimpse of your soul. Venture on a soul quest by fasting and meditating upon a candle. Watch the open air and observe moments in the energetic space. Enjoy sitting in silence so you can listen to your own inner wisdom. Try speaking to a tree or a rock. They have been on this earth a lot longer than you have and hold lifetimes of wisdom. Elements of our earth are vibrational energy as well. They hold many secrets and reflections of our world. Ask them for guidance and trust the answers received. Endeavor working with crystals. Notice what crystals you are drawn to and interpret their meaning. Crystals are a wonderful source of high vibrational energy. Once you've established a collection, pick one a day to carry with you. You will also receive guidance. Buy yourself a pendulum or a deck of oracle cards. All these tools are wonderful ways to gain insights and wisdom for your soul. And lastly, talk openly. Start communicating and expressing your experiences, if only to yourself. See? That's what I'm doing. I'm telling my story, if only to myself. I have spent years hiding my spiritual encounters because they scared me. Don't be afraid. Talk to the children in your life. Ensure they feel comfortable expressing their magical moments with the other side. Expand your awareness together. That's it. Chapter 6. Thank you again.